Hey guys, my name is Shai, and I kind of just want to have a little bit of a chat here. Specifically, I want to talk about the comparison trap because I just had an experience of really catching myself in the comparison trap game, and I want to just kind of talk through that. Yeah, so maybe ramble on some other things. You know how this goes. And so this big lump of blanket here, this is my dog. He sleeps under a blanket. He tucks himself right in, sleeps under the blanket. So he's here. He's just not showing himself. But anyway, so the comparison trap, especially as it pertains to spirituality and spiritual content on the internet, because this is how I've been working through this. The other day I decided to kind of check in on one of my longtime favorite spiritual content creators. I haven't really been following her work for the past few years, but just because I kind of stopped actually paying attention to a lot of spiritual content. But anyway, so I just decided to kind of see what she was up to, and it made me feel like crap for a little bit, honestly, because I just admire her so much. Her consciousness is so evolved. I've benefited so much personally from her work. And it's not just where she's at, spiritually speaking, right? Is she travels the world. She goes to all these exotic locations. She lives a lot in Bali and stuff like that. And she has this really incredible healing capacity, and I admire her and respect her so much, right? And I find I want to be more like her. And I found that this was actually making me feel bad, right? This was making me feel bad about myself because I was doing the comparison thing, and I really got into it. And I think this is also coming up for me personally because over this past year I've been having Chiron, the transiting Chiron, the asteroid of your core wounds and kind of poisoned wounds. For me, it's transiting over my Mars. My Mars in Aries in the 5th, and this is really significant because for me that is all my fire, and it is my creative passion and my creative fire. So having Chiron transit all of this, it's been bringing up long-standing issues I've had with feelings of failure and not living up to different expectations, and expectations in general, and the comparison trap and all of that. So I think this is all just kind of coming to a head for me, but I know I'm not the only one who does this, right? And I kind of realized for the first time that I put spiritual content up on YouTube, and I had never honestly thought about it before, that what if someone else were to be comparing themselves to me and having that make them feel like crap? I was like, that is not what that is not what I want. I don't want to be contributing to that. And it's ridiculous, right? I think as soon as you think of yourself on that side, imagine if you found out that somebody was comparing themselves to you and that was making you feel like crap, making them feel like crap. Now you feel like crap, because isn't it ridiculous for anyone to be comparing themselves to you and thinking that you're somehow on some kind of pedestal and doing better than somebody else, because you of course know how how ridiculous that is, right? The idea of somebody comparing themselves to you feels ridiculous, but then we sit there and we're all comparing ourselves to others, and then we're sitting there mounting up all of these feelings. That's why I think this is it's really at the end of the day, it's an internal thing. And if somebody is triggering our feelings of inadequacy or not adding up or not living up to expectations or being a failure and stuff like that, it's really, they're just accidentally, inadvertently, they're just the thing that is triggering our own internal bullshit, right? So anyway, sorry, I don't know if you can hear my husband blabbering on in the other room. He's just loud, and I'm not going to ask him to be quiet right now because he's doing his thing. So anyway, what was I saying? This is how I kind of work through this, and my guides, and this is actually the Golden Order guides who I've recently, been connecting with. I've talked about a little bit. They were like, okay, well, why don't you compare yourself to this person? Compare yourself favorably. Start thinking about everything that you have that they don't have, and that that they don't know, that you can do that they can't do. And I was like, well, why would I do that? That's horrible. I was like, well, that's horrible and mean. I can't just sit here like talking myself up on my high horse about like how good I am and about how they don't have what I have. I was like, I never do that, right? I never do that because that feels terrible, right? That feels awful. Or you think it would be, right? But they were kind of like, well, I'll just try it and see how this switches the perspective, because, and I think what they were trying to get me to do here is actually balance out this comparison thing. Like if you're stuck in the comparison trap and you just like, ideally, right, we would just entirely drop out of comparison altogether and we would never do this to begin with. But I think what they were kind of showing me is if you're in the comparison trap, well, try to at least balance the scales. You at least have to do a fair comparison. You at least have to compare on both sides. So I think the best option would be to just never compare anybody to anybody ever. But if we can't do that, well, let's at least do a balanced comparison, right? So I am actually going to talk this one out for myself personally, and I would encourage and really deeply invite anybody who is struggling with the comparison trap to do this like along with me, right? Pick the person that you're comparing yourself to and think about all the ways that the things, and it's not necessarily about you're better than them, right? But it's what do you have that they don't have? Or what are you good at that they aren't good at, right? What experiences have you had that you think they can benefit from? What can you see that they can't see because it's in their blind spot, right? Because that thing is in their blind spot, but that's something that you can see, right? So I was really thinking, I was like, okay, this person, sometimes I feel pretty jelly, right? Because they're trotting the globe and traveling and doing all these exotic things. And I was like, okay, well, why can't I do that? Well, I mean, I could do that, but I'm not doing that right now at this point in my life because I'm here, with my family, and I have a beautiful home, right? I have a beautiful home. I have living in my dream apartment. I'm actually in a really nice apartment that I love, right? And I have my pets. I have my dog and my 2 cats, right? And I have my stepson and my husband, and I have just such a nice family and such a nice home, right? With my animals and my humans. And it's just so good. And I have good, extended family, my parents and my sister. And really my home and my family life is just so good, right? And I was thinking, okay, this person I'm comparing myself to, they don't have that, right? They don't have that at all. They don't even have a home. They don't have a supportive or loving family. They don't have a partner, right? They don't have any pets. And I know that lots of people don't need these things or don't care about these things, and that's good, right? Because I think if you're not having something right now, it's really good and healthy, I think, to just go, yeah, I mean, that's not vitally important. I have all of these other things and I don't need to have those things right now, right? And of course, like I have my fantastic marriage to the love of my life, right? And I was like, and honestly, like it has to be said, I was like, well, my sex life is fantastic. Most people don't have a sex life like mine, and mine just keeps getting better even though I've been married for 10 years, right? A lot of people find in their relationships that the sex life peters out after a few years. The exact opposite is happening in my life, and that is a big important thing, and it has to be said, right? And that has to be something that I can remember and value as something important and good in my life, right? And okay, so the money thing is always a thing, right? But I am slowly but surely building my financial, security and my financial foundation for my future. It is a very long-term process for me, and there's a ton of healing. But of course, even the process of going through a healing journey, like in your finances or any kind of healing, the healing journey in and of itself is valuable. So even if you're in a point in your life where the thing you're working on is the middle of the journey, well, hey, you're walking the journey. Isn't that what you're here to do? Isn't that why you were born? So you can have your journeys and go on your healing experiences. So there's that, right? And thinking even in terms of, spirituality and, soul gifts, I had to really get clear on, I was like, okay, well, I've always felt like I would really want to be a healer, right? To be able to like really directly heal people. Or I've always wished that I could be an Akashic record reader, right? I'm always just so in awe. Or a medium, right? A medium, to have real vivid mediumship abilities. All of these things I wish I would have had, and I really admire people who have these gifts, like really fully functioning, right? And so that's really hard because I feel like my you know, my spiritual gifts or my psychic ability. It's more nebulous, right? And it's like, yes, I have some clairvoyance and I have some clairaudience, but it's it's still, even after all of these years of unfolding that, it is still nebulous, right? It's foggy, it's touch and go. It's not super vivid like it is for some people. But so I have to get really honest and really clear and go, okay, I mean, for me, I'm more tuned into the abstract, like the abstract layers, and I'm not reading the records necessarily, right? But I still could be getting information from the records from this roundabout kind of way. And it's like I can see the abstract layers of consciousness. It's all of this really, really abstract, and I just kind of filter the information through, and by kind of surrendering my ego, I can do this kind of conscious channeling process, especially with the help of tarot cards, of just channeling these messages through, tuning into the abstract layers and channeling the message through. And I know through so much positive feedback that I've gotten from, you know, my viewers and my clients, that this works for a lot of people, and that this is an important thing to be contributing to the world, and that people do find value in this, right? And it is something valuable and good that I can do. And even though my spiritual gifts seem more nebulous to me, right? It's not like, it's like, it's not specific. It's not like, I'm not an Akashic record reader, and I'm not a very strong clairvoyant, and I'm not a very strong like clairaudience where my guides are constantly telling me things all the time. And it's not like this really, really clear two-way conversation in English all the time. So I have to be more like, I have to really take a moment to understand how my spiritual gifts unfold and how I use them and all of that. And when I get more honest about it, and when I allow that things don't need to be as clear cut as they are for some people, then I can really start to see the value in all of that, right? And I think that's like almost it. That's like almost it. I really had to understand that's like, wow, you know, I have a beautiful family life. I have my pets. I have my kid. I have my husband. I have my health, right? I mean, sometimes I have like body struggles, but like overall I'm very healthy, and I've overcome various challenges in my life, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm overcoming more challenges. And my spiritual journey, I am so happy with where I am with that, and I'm so fortunate and so grateful to have, you know, 2 YouTube channels at this point, and my private readings and all of that, where I can practice expressing my soul gifts, and sometimes I can be of service to others, and all of this. And I just had to sit there and really kind of talk myself up. And when I was doing this just from a place of just real honesty, it really helped me get out of the comparison game, right? And then I could see how at the end of the day, we're all the same. And it's weird where getting more honest about my own strengths and abilities and blessings and things that I have, right? Instead of focusing always on what I don't have, I was able to, it's like I can see other people more clearly. If I can see myself more clearly, then I can see others more clearly, and I can start to see how we've all got something, right? We've all got something, and a lot of us are lacking in some areas, but these lacks are just part of our process, part of the journey, and are things that we will only be lacking temporarily, right? Only be lacking temporarily, even if we lack them for our entire human lives. That is just an eye blink of our time in consciousness. So the things that we think that we're missing are so insignificant. It seems laughable when you can get really honest about what you do have. So I don't know. I felt really compelled to just kind of share this and talk this out on the camera. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add. I feel like I'm kind of waking back up after some kind of long slumber. I feel like, honestly, it's almost been an entire year. I've been feeling kind of, I don't know, because I've been doing well. I've been feeling good, and everything has been good. I mean, there's been some challenges, but overall everything's been good. But in hindsight, I don't know. I don't know really what was up with my vibe. I mean, I think a lot of it is that Chiron transit that I mentioned. But I feel like I'm kind of waking up out of that now and feeling some of my vitality return. So I am hoping that I can get back to, and it's been like a long time since I was posting regularly on this channel, like as regularly as I would like to. I would like to post at least once a week. That's what I would like to do. I would like to do that. So hopefully my energy is kind of coming back and I can get on that now, because that would make me feel good. That would be a good use of my creative energy. So I don't know. There's something about that, right? When your energy shifts in life and sometimes you don't even realize that you're in a bit of a funk until the funk has lifted. It's like the fog, or almost that feeling of what, I don't know, a lot of you probably have had glasses at some point in your life, right? When you get glasses for the first time, do you remember being a kid and going to the optometrist and they put glasses on? You're like, wow, I can see. I didn't even realize that I couldn't see until I could see, right? Something like that. It's this feeling of the fog suddenly lifting. So I don't know. I haven't quite figured it all out, but you know, some things don't need to be figured out. That's a hard thing for me to admit because I'm obsessed with figuring everything out. But I don't know, I'm just kind of spiraling into a melange of, I don't know, there's more to be said here, but I guess it will come out in some other future video. So just, I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.